So, good morning, student friends. So, this is one more class in our series of classes that we are having for the live classes that we are taking you through the revisionary classes that we are doing for the June intermediate and final examination. Thousands of you have been joining us live and also on the YouTube. Your attachment, your desire to learn new things gives us a lot of encouragement. Please note that we also look forward to your feedback. And when you give your feedback, we also ensure that we improve upon the classes that we do. We have had topics like indirect taxes, till now topics like audit. We have had motivational lecture by none other than Padma Shri T.N. Manoharan. Then we have had two council members delivering motivational lectures, C.S. Nanda, Rajesh Sharma. And these motivational lectures have been well received. The sessions usually have a council member who is very knowledgeable. He usually gives a keynote and then the main speaker takes over. We shall encourage all of you to go on and take full benefit of these classes live. But please also note, we do provide the recorded classes, but we will again and again encourage you to go live and take full advantage. In the future, we are having motivational classes from past President Amarjit Chopra, don't miss it. And of course, I would also like to mention that we are having a special class on income tax by none other than the Guru on income tax, Girish Ahuja. Please note the time of his session and also attend to those classes. Mr. Saxena is going to speak today to us on strategy management, and I'm sure you will take full benefit of his discourse. But we have today with us my council colleague, a very, very hard-working council member, Central Council Member Prasanna Kumar. He hails from Visakhapatnam. He has joined us totally from Vizag early in the morning today. I know him as an extremely hardworking and sincere council member. He is a member of the examination committee, so you should be very interested in him because he does and he is doing so much of examination reforms and he is committed to the well-being of students. I still recall the students from the Northeast who are joining us. We had this discussion in the council regarding discount of 75% on student fees. And Prasanna Kumar, led the discussion and ensured and convinced the council why we should help the students. So we are extremely, it is our good luck that we have a person like CCM Prasanna Kumar to join us. And I'm sure, you will find his address very, very useful and enlightening. As we go ahead, as I said, and I repeat myself, do join us for these classes. Take full benefit. And then ensure that you not only learn the course, but also enjoy the course. With these words, I welcome you once again. We have also with us Sushil Goyal, who is the Vice Chairman of Board of Studies. But before I request Sushil to speak, let me also tell you, stay home, stay safe, be immune, take good care of yourself and study hard. Once more, Prasanna Kumar sir, thank you very much for taking your time off early in the morning and joining us. And Sushil, may I request you to speak a few words. Sushil Goyal, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. I just want to say this. Prasanna Kumar is the exam committee member, second year, and very, very core to students. And not only he is active now, he is almost 40 years serving the institute from his student days. I can understand he served as the vice chairman, Sikasa, and after this branch chairman, then regional chairman. Now he is to the central and serving in the exam committee. Very, very core to his heart, this exam system, all renovation, all motivation things bringing here. And friends, we will able to declare the result little bit early this time, and all this rechecking will be done within 7 days. All this agenda brought by Prasanna sir, and he is working day and night. Over to Prasanna sir. I am not coming much between you and the students. Over to Prasanna sir.
Yeah. Respected CA Debashi Mitraji, Honorable Chairman of the BOS Academic and the Vice Chairman CA Sushil Goyal, and faculty Dr. Saxena, my dearest dear students, very good morning to all of you. It's a proud moment for me to interact with the students. Very seldom we get an opportunity to interact with the students. I do remember that we are all 50 plus, close to 60 years. But whenever we interact with students, our age comes down to again 18 years. There's a rare opportunity that we keep waiting for. My dear students, so we are in a lockdown situation. Corona, already the entire country has been shut down. Locked down for 21 days and again extended by 90 days. Totally 40 days is gone in the lockdown situation. Otherwise, by now, everyone should have been in a run-up for taking the examination May 1st. So, I don't know, thanks or no thanks, the things have got delayed. Now we are having examination 19th of June. Dear students, so the moment the lockdown has come, so the entire institute administration, from the branches to head office, they have been busy in organizing webinars, seminars, whatever it is, for the sake of the members, to keep the members very busy and to enrich them with the skills. But it is the BOS, who is the father of the entire learning process in the institute, and the dynamic leadership of the two stalwarts from Calcutta, they thought it fit. It's why only members who should do something great for the students also. So the live revision class in place now is free. Nothing need to be paid. Today nothing comes free. But it's the BOS with a great heart. So they have come out everything with free. And I compliment the BOS for coming with a great initiative for running this class at this moment. Friends, strategic management is one of the important subjects. So you see, if you are aware, chartered accountants who have got traditional subjects, that the core subject of what we have is accounting, auditing, fiscal laws, and business laws. This has been the core subject right from the beginning, even when we studied CA also. Gone are the days that only these things are enough. We need some more skills are required for a chartered accountant to be a complete chartered accountant. Let us say a chartered accountant who is in practice, he is not a simply auditor, he is not a simply accountant, but his role has gone beyond that one. Today, the entire industry, the entire economy looks at him as a complete business solution provider. Similarly, if you are in industry, gone are the days when you are confined as a head of the department, accounts department, head of the department, auditing department, audit section, or a CFO. The chief finance officer. Now we are moving towards the boardroom and also chief executive officers. You find when you want to do all these things, there's a decision making is a big process. In a decision making, be it any decision making that needs to be made in business, to invest in a business or to disinvest in a business or to merge a business or demerge a business, to acquire a business or to sell the business, to manufacturing is good line or trading is good line or to employ human resources or hire the human resources. You want to import a material, you want to go for indigenous material, you want to equity line is better or the loan line is better, debt line is better. All these are all strategic decisions which need to be taken by involving a chartered accountant. So we are working in such a highly complex situation and a competitive environment. So management is, in this scenario, management is very, very, very important. It has got a vital role here. The word management, my dear students, if you see, that is embedded in each and every activity of life. Any bit of life you take, there's a management. It's not something new that need to be taught by anybody. It is already that's known to you. You see, you have to manage. You have to get up early. You got up early in the morning. You have to manage to get up early in the morning. You have to manage to have your breakfast. You have to manage to see that, your laptop is in place. You have to manage to, everything. So you have to interact with the family members. You have to manage your sleep. Everything is a management. It's not something you do not know. Only additional skill sets. And we are only sharpening those skills in this scenario. So, friends, to be a chief executive officer or to be a business strategist, you need to know the 360-degree view of the entire business. Otherwise, you will not be able to give a solution. That's the way a chartered accountant, he needs a blend of all the traditional subjects, whatever I told you, along with management skills. Otherwise, he will not be a great business solution provider. It is not simple management, but it is a strategic management. strategic manner. That's where you need to apply your additional skills also. That's how this particular subject has got significant role in shaping a chartered accountant as a complete business solution provider. That is the reason why the CRET also thought that we should have this particular subject as in the curriculum for 50 marks. So this is a very interesting subject. You must have, people must have told. Sometimes, it happens when worst students also, they tell, sir, this management, IT, your seniors must have told you, don't get carried away. It's a very, very, very interesting subject because there's nothing that you do not know. You know everything. Only you are putting it in one particular shape to see that you perform well in the examination. So, friends, when you learn from the teacher, Dr. Saxena is going to teach you now. Don't keep examination in your mind at all. Don't keep that at all. If you keep in examination in your mind and listen to Dr. Saxena, nothing will enter into your mind. Forget examination. You involve yourself whenever the teacher is teaching, when the faculty is teaching. So suppose you take whatever 8 levels are there in this particular subject. Suppose the faculty is teaching you about corporate level strategy. You imagine that you are CFO or CEO of that particular company, then you will understand it better. Similar business level strategies are being taught to you. You imagine that you are the CFO, then you are a businessman. You certainly say you should get involved in that one. Similarly, the functional level strategies level head, then you will understand better. So involve yourself in the entire subject. After learning, go back, then you start revising that one. There the examination should come to your mind. You study with the examination point of view, then you will perform better. My dear students, so as it's already, the strategic management has got 8 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. In the 8 levels, people say the so-and-so level 1 is very important, level 4 is very important, you get more marks. Nothing like that. The examiner question paper setting is very simple, it is open, it is already in the BOS website also. So all the 8 levels, there is a weightage given, 10 to 20%, 100% each and every topic you will get some question or other. It's not that the important topic is something important, nothing like that. You have to study the entire curriculum, then certainly you will pass in flying colors. My dear students, so I'll just, before I close, behind success of every man, it is said, there's a woman. This is an old saying. But today, the buzzword is, behind success of every businessman, there is a chartered accountant. That is the role, the vital role a chartered accountant plays. So, Sri Ratan Tata, the chairman emeritus of Tata Group, one of the renowned groups in this country, who have got the patriotism towards this country, that their business size is more than 7 lakh crores of rupees. Sri Ratan Tata once he said in a meeting, he said, this is Ratan Tata, he said, I need MBAs to run my business. But I need chartered accountants to teach MBAs how to run the business. That is where the strategic man has got a very great role to play, apart from our regular curricular knowledge that we have. My dear students, COVID-19 lockdown is there. Normally, after the results are declared, you pass or fail. If you have to appear in the next examination, you have got only 90 days time. That was the situation for intermediate students. But today you have got another 70 days time. Is there? Make use of this particular opportunity. The COVID also brought you a great opportunity. So there is no substitute for hard work. There is no substitute for hard work. What you need to do is take it as an opportunity because 70 more days there. Make use of that one. Read. There's no substitute for that one. I'm sure you'll pass in flying colors. You're passing flying colors. Wish you all the best. You've got a great faculty. I was told that Dr. Saxena is a very great faculty. He is everything in management. He will certainly put everything into your mind and see that, you are going to have a great performance in the entry examination. Wish you all the best. I compliment the viewers once again. And Debashish Mehta, a good friend of mine, another my brother, Sushil Goyal, for taking a lot of interest. I do agree for them to, if they got up much before I came into the live, they came. So I thought they will be late. They are much ahead of everyone. So thank you very much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Prasanna sir, for your words of wisdom for the students. And now may I request Dr. Saxena to, commence his deliberation. Dr. Saxena, please.
Kindly switch on your audio, Dr. Saxena. Kindly switch on, Dr. Saxena. Your audio is off.
Yeah, it is on mute. You have to unmute that, sir. Unmute.
गिरीश जी, एक बार डॉक्टर सक्सेना को एक बार मैसेज
Hello, am I reaching? Hello, am I audible?
fine.
That's
fine.
great. That's
Please,
great.
Please go.
Okay. And my presentation is on the screen. Presentation
Yes.
is on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yes,
Good
yes.
morning, learners. Yeah, the screen. Hello.
Please,
the screen is-
I think. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. Good morning, learners. Thank you so much, Mr. Prasanna. You made my job very easy in the sense that you not only highlighted the significance of strategic management for a chartered accountant, but also in terms of your exhaustion to the students and to the learners that they should be attending this session not only from examination point of view but also from the point of view of deeply immersing into the subject and enjoying themselves. I will be connecting this session in terms of the schedule that I have already shared, and I hope the learners have that schedule. But for the sake of convenience, I'll put it like this. But feel free to write your questions. I am on phone also, so I have another machine where I can see your queries. I will be responding to those queries. Largely, I will be restricting to the queries which fall within the sessions that I have planned in the timeline. But obviously, I will be picking up the queries even as these come. For example, there have been some queries on R&D strategy that I will be taking up also. Along with myself and my learners and my esteemed colleagues from the Institute of Chartered Accountants, we shall also be having these companions, learning companions with us, whereby we'll be encouraging you to think through certain ideas. We will be asking you to jog your memory and jog your spontaneity on did you knows. We'll be reviewing certain case scenarios, and we'll be asking you to take a deep dive into the subject. That means beyond your study material, and we will also be listening to an expert on strategy. The method that I will be following is the one that has been prescribed by the institute. Obviously, we shall be taking up the question answers. And I'll be taking you to the visual journey of the chapters. You would have seen your content, the study material. I'm sure you have it by your side and you have a notepad too. There are various images and various infographics that have been put up in the study material. So we will be building our discourse and discussion on those graphics. And in particular, we had a presentation discussion with the Board of Studies, and we discovered that we need to focus on clarification of the concepts and the underlying theories, and of course the relevant examples wherever feasible. As you can see, the whole strategic management can be studied, can be learned, can be immersed into with reference to three standpoints. The content. What is the content of the subject matter? Now, for example, if I were to refer to your chapter 3, it talks about the content of the strategic intent, comprising these elements: vision, mission, business definition, business model, goals, and objectives. Likewise, we shall be focusing on the process, because how do we arrive at these things? Now, for example, if we are doing industry and competitive analysis, we will have to begin with the determination or ascertainment of the industry features, and we'll have to identify the competitors. We'll have to develop the criteria on which to assess them, and we'll have to score the competitors with a view to finding out, who are our major rivals, and we'll have to make an anticipation of their moves, and we will also have to anticipate what the directions the industry is taking. So, I hope, and of course, what is context? I would be very happy if you can immediately write back in your query forms in terms of what is your understanding of the context. What does the context mean as far as strategic management is concerned, or as far as a business organization, or for that matter, any organization is concerned? When we say every organization is embedded in a context. So, what does the word context imply? That is where we would encourage you to think. Any responses? Okay. In the meanwhile, you look at and you formulate your responses to this thinking stimulation. Let us kind of try and look at the context of business or for any organization in terms of the layers layers of the business environment just as atmosphere is many layers, likewise we can look at the business environment as comprising several layers. The layer can be immediate layer. Now, for example, what you call the task environment of the business's own customers, business's own investors, business's employees, business's suppliers. Or it can be an intermediate layer when we move to the not only businesses but the industry structure. Now, what are the other firms? Who all are the suppliers? Who all are the investors? So this is the second layer of the business environment. And then even to a larger layer, we go to the macro environment. For example, how the social, economic, technological environment of business is affecting the firm. And because today every business, in most businesses are also international and global in nature, it is also not difficult to look at the international environmental dimension. So, therefore, when we refer to the context of the business, we refer to the micro environment layer, we refer to the what you call meso or the intermediate environment of layer of the environment, which is called industry, for example, with reference to a firm. We move one step further and we go to the macro, that is the domestic economy, environment, and the monetary fiscal policies, the sectoral policies of the government. And because today businesses are operating in international markets, there is an international business environment too. So I hope that means whenever we are looking at strategy, we'll have to understand the context and face it. It is not that these contexts are kind of watertight, and it is only when the micro is through that we are at meso or at macro or international. For example, a business's supplier may be overseas supplier. So directly a firm is coming in touch with the international environment. This is what we need to kind of understand, and our entire discussion will be focusing simultaneously on the context, on the process, as well as content of strategy. Now, chapter 1 focuses essentially on the concepts. And it is introductory in nature. It talks about the concept of management. It also talks about concept of strategy, strategic management, how it has evolved from business policy. It talks about the importance and limitations of strategic management. Talks about the various levels which Mr. Prasanna talked about: corporate level, business level, and functional level strategies. And it also underlines the fact that strategic management is not peculiar only to the business organizations. It is also inherent in not-for-profit or non-government and even the government organizations. Moving on, if you look at the concept of strategy and strategic management, the way it has evolved, it is important to note certain developments. These developments are somewhere taken up in chapter 3 also. However, just to mention these, it would be in the fitness of the things that the discipline of strategic management, kind of has followed a kind of a line of evolution, beginning with very simplistic, what you call financial planning in the form of budgeting. And then we moved on to what you call slightly long-range planning, and then to strategic planning, and then to strategic management. So wherever an opportunity arises, maybe in chapter 3, we will be looking at this evolutionary process. However, for now, let us kind of focus on the concept of business policy, and at times, dichotomizing, that means differentiating between business policy and strategy, can also help. So dichotomies, analogies, these are good ways of building your understanding and clarifying your concepts. So you have to, for example, understand what strategy is and what strategy is not. So and how it is different, say, from other forms of planning or other types of plans. Now, you see, policy, when we prefix it with the word business, assumes a kind of an integrated, holistic perspective. So when I am looking at business as a whole and formulating a policy, now what is a policy? Policy is a guide to decision. And it is essentially internally oriented. So these are my company policies. Who decides this? The company policies would be determined by the top management, right? And because there can be functional policies also. Within the functional policies, for example, in financial policy, there can be a credit policy. So policies would be a guide essentially to recurring problems. If the problems are of recurring nature, they will occur again and again. So rather than reinventing the wheel, rather than restarting the thinking process all over again, we have a standing answer to those recurring problems. So policies are like standing answers to the recurring problems. And these are distinguishable from strategy. In fact, strategy is distinguishable from all types of plans, which we will kind of review. With respect to the focus, this focus of strategy and its orientation is outward. Strategy links a firm to its environment. That is what we have mentioned. That's why we have said at the outset that whenever we look at strategy, we will be focusing on the context, the business environment. And the business environment, which said, comprises layers. So depending upon what level of strategy we are, we will be interacting with the various layers of the business environment. Coming back, so business policy, I hope you are able now to distinguish from strategy with respect to these four criteria that I have mentioned: focus, orientation, and emphasis. Now, scope is an interesting parameter of distinction between business policy and strategy. Here we find a kind of a variation in the views of the experts on the subject. Some experts say that business policy is a broader concept or construct because it provides a framework for understanding strategic decision making in organizations. This is what your study material also says at page number 30. So if something is providing a framework for something else, for example, business policy is providing a framework for strategic decision making, then logically business policy is a broader concept. And another variation of the scope, the understanding of the scope is that strategy is a wider concept because strategy considers both internal as well as external environment, whereas policy is internally kind of situated. So therefore, if in the exam a question comes that distinguish between business policy and business strategy, is it between the two which has got a wider scope, you must write that when you will distinguish on the criteria of focus, orientation, and emphasis. But when it comes to scope, you will have to write and you will have to say and discuss that, look, there is no unanimity as to which of these two concepts has got a wider scope. Whenever there is a thesis and antithesis, and whenever there is a kind of disagreement, usually some reconciliation happens. And as you can see, at times it is said that business policy is the old name of strategic management and strategic management is the new name of business policy. So it can become a question by itself. So it becomes a statement question and you can be asked to discuss it. So so much so for the conceptual clarity between the notion of business policy and strategy. I hope there are no queries, but I would be very happy to receive those queries as and when these come. Okay. So far I have queries only on R&D strategies, that is the functional strategies. I'll be taking it up at a later point of time. I hope I can carry on with my discussion, and the discussion is on to the even Mr. Prasanna said that management is everywhere, right? And he talked about that you have to manage to get early and now you have to have your breakfast. So this is called personal management, not personal management, right? Personal management becomes HR management. So personal management, of course, here we are concerned with business management. So how and what does the prefix strategic mean to management? The outline to the unit also talks about the concept of management. I'll be spending 2 to 4 minutes on elaborating this concept of management and also linking it to the idea of strategic management. And of course, if there are any queries, I will be very happy to take those queries right now. Now, you see, management is a modern discipline. It almost coincides with the Industrial Revolution, wherein we had a change in the production system, wherein there was manufacturing to be done in the manufactories or the factories, and there was division of labor and specialization. So the moment we resort to division of labor and specialization, there will be a problem of coordination. How do we integrate the different parts of the organization together so that the objective is achieved? And the institution of management, or the discipline of management, so they initially evolved in response to the solution of this problem of coordination within a firm. And this problem of coordination arose why? Because of the modern system of production characterized by division of labor and specialization. I hope it is clear. So how the modern enterprise pursuant to Industrial Revolution, characterized by division of labor and specialization, is plagued by the problem of coordination, and how management steps in to solve this problem. Can you think as to how management solves the problem of coordination? What are the various coordination mechanisms that the management puts in? I would encourage you to write it on your notepads, and I would be very happy if you send me the feedback in the course of the discussion at an appropriate time, and if the need be, I will be elaborating the various coordination mechanisms within the firm, although it is not within the purview of the syllabus or the contents of your strategic management. So, having situated management in the context of modern enterprise, let us now focus on strategic management, and how it happens, how it happened. That means historically, management coincides with Industrial Revolution, and strategic management comes in later, right? And in my very first, slide or so, I talked about how strategic management evolved from strategic planning from long range planning, and from decision making. So here we are focusing how strategic management emerges as a discipline of its own. The problem of coordination becomes more complicated when the firm's the environmental complexity, volatility changes, when there are problems of sustainability. Likewise, when the businesses, the division of labor goes international. So here you have, your components coming in from somewhere, different countries, and assembly is happening elsewhere, marketing is happening elsewhere. So when this division of labor becomes very complex and minute, and environmental complexity, is also, grows, then you have to think strategically. You have to think of how you will cope with these environmental challenges, and so that's how the strategic management, emerges as a discipline. Another driver of strategic management is the aspiration and competition, competitive environment of the business. Now, the business managers would like to grow big. They would like to be known internationally. They would like to compete with the best. So, all this cannot happen unless and until we develop a strategic perspective into the management of the businesses. But what is this strategic perspective? Definitely, we shall see. But for now, I hope it is clear that strategic management, is an extension of the, conventional operational management, whose emphasis is on planning, implementing, and evaluating a strategy. Because as you can see here, I have talked about the central to the idea of management is the performance of certain functions. Those who come from commerce background would know that management cycle comprises of three important stages: planning, implementation, and evaluation. Within implementation, we have other managerial functions called organizing, staffing, and directing. So I hope we are clear now in terms of the distinction between business policy and strategy, and we are also clear in terms of how this discipline of strategic management has evolved. If there are any questions, I would be very happy to take those questions. Let us move toward a formal definition of strategy. It is mentioned in your textbook, though the textbook does not quote William Gullock and Lawrence George, and it only paraphrases the definition given by them. I have attempted to give the definition by Gullock and George as it is. And every word, in fact, one can spend, kind of virtually hours on this slide in elaborating the implications of the term. Let us read it aloud, and please also note the emphasis. The emphasis are given in color, what you call orange or saffron color. So, strategy is a unified, comprehensive, and integrated plan that relates the strategic advantages of the firm to the challenges of the environment. It is designed to ensure that the basic objectives of the enterprise are achieved through proper execution by the organization. Let us spend 2 minutes on this definition. And you will realize that this definition provides the essence of whatever we are going to do in these 10 hours of our discussion. A strategy is a unified plan because it ties all parts of the enterprise together. You might ask, what are the parts of the enterprise? Remember, I asked a question to you, what is a firm? And suppose I were to describe a firm, what does it comprise of? And how strategy unifies all these parts? Let us do a quick kind of a exercise in defining the term firm or any organization for that matter. And let us use the concept of Venn diagram to develop a clarity. For example, I have stated here 3 interlocking cycles. Every organization, for example, is a techno-economic system. Because here something is being manufactured, some value is being created, right? So a firm is basically an economic organization, but even a non-economic organization will be producing something of value. So to that extent, and there will be a process of producing that product or service. So every organization is a techno-economic structure or techno-economic system. Apart from that, every firm or every organization is people. It is a social system. Is it not? Because there are people. These people are individuals. And then individuals form teams and groups. Right? And a firm also is a kind of an administrative legal entity. For example, you must be aware, being students of chartered accountancy, the entity concept. So when I say strategy is a unified plan, it brings all these elements together, all parts of the enterprise together. Because if at all I have to excel, I have to do well, I have to realize my aspirations. Not only that, I should work on my technology and on my product and service delivery systems, but also I should build winning teams. And also I have to ensure coordination. I have to put in accountability systems. So a strategy is a unified plan. It is comprehensive. Comprehensive because you know that, for example, if I were to talk about techno-economic, there will be production, there will be marketing, there will be finance. So all these aspects have to be in sync with each other. They have to be integrated. They have to be put together. They have to be integrated well. So financial plan, it has to be integrated. The financial plan has to be integrated with operations plan, which in turn has to be integrated with the marketing plan, and so on and so forth. They have to fit with each other. And what for? Now all this is done with a view to identifying that how these various parts, aspects or elements of the plan lead to the advantage of the firm, and how this advantage is relatable to the challenges of the environment, so that the firm may attain its objectives. The definition also emphasizes that mere planning is not sufficient. It has to be executed well. So this is an important definition of strategy which you should mull over, which you should run through in your minds and hearts to get to the essence of the subject. I can talk and talk on this definition. But however, let us move further and clarify the concept of strategy. We clarified that strategy is not a business policy. We also said that strategy is a type of plan. Again, those who come from commerce background would be slightly advantageous in terms of building this understanding, because, for example, in class 12, we distinguish between standing plans and single-use plans. A plan which can be used over and over again and again. A single plan is used one time. So strategy is a standing plan. It is of enduring nature. It is long term, and it entails a irreversible investment of time, money, and organizational energy. So therefore, it is an important, and in fact, all other plans, have to fall in sync with the strategy. And this aspect of the integration of the various, plans, with the strategy, are taken up in your chapter 3. When you go to the definition of strategic intent, and as you can see that how goals and objectives and mission and vision have to be, in sync with each other. So strategy is a type of plan. So if you are to define therefore strategy, you can define it in a number of ways. You can define it as a plan, you can define it as a as a unified, comprehensive and integrated plan. So by highlighting its features, you can distinguish it say from business policy by emphasizing that it is a plan that links the firm's advantages to the firm's environment, right? So I hope the concept is sinking in. You're getting clearer on the definition of strategy. I think one or more
Dr.
slides.
Saxena?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Saxena,
Yes.
please zoom the screen of your PPT. Students are not able to read. Okay?
Okay.
Please make
Okay.
it on full screen. Right.
I will.
Sorry.
I will zoom.
Sorry for
I will. Not at all. Not at all. I will
Sure.
zoom.
Sure.
I hope it is better now.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah?
that's okay. Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Fine.
Now, I have added and emphasized the fact that the strategy is a plan that integrates the firm with its environment, by designing this supplementary slide for you. And I have developed an equation for those mathematically inclined, persons, that I can look at strategy as a type of firm behavior or a course of action, which is a function of a firm's strengths and weaknesses and environmental opportunities and threats. And if you remember, I have already elaborated the various layers of the environment, right? So, again and again, we need to drive home this point that strategy is a very unique plan, distinguishable from all other types of plans, that it links the firm to its environment. And it is important for the learners of strategic management to delve deeper into the business environment, its layers, and identify the signals, information signals that this environment, emanates. Because the firm has to respond to this environment, it has to adapt to this environment, and if possible, shape the environment, because business organizations are very powerful entities. They have huge economic power and thereby political clout and what you call lobbying cloud. So they can also shape the environment. From the point of view of strategic management and the process of strategic management, strategy essentially is a course of action that is aimed at bridging the gap between where we are and where we would like to be. So therefore, this becomes a more generic interpretation. Each one of us has an aspiration. We want to rise higher, shine brighter. And we wish to move on from our extant position. And if we keep doing the things the way we have been, we shall never be able to achieve what we dream of. So as you can see, you must be willing to do something you have never done before to get where you have never been before. So therefore, strategic management exercise, strategic planning exercise begins with this gap analysis. The gap where I am and where I shall want to be. Now, where I want to be can be vague. I can concretize it with respect to maybe the best in the industry. That I am a small firm today. I want to grow big, and I have to become, maybe world's number one. So where we are and where we want to be. So these kind of graphics, this is a two-dimensional graphic, as you can see, we will be using frequently, and in your book these diagrams are interspersed all over, and most of these diagrams are 2 by 2 matrices, 3 by 3 matrices. So we have to familiarize and train our minds to think through these matrices, and also see how we can, what are the criteria upon which we develop these devices, learning objects, and analytical objects. It's a two-dimensional graph wherein on the x-axis we have taken time, and on the x-axis, y-axis we have taken sales. It could be profits, it could be even reputation. So I want to be the most reputed firm in my industry. So this could be my aspiration. Currently my reputation is low, or it is not as great as my best competitor. So strategy, this is where the importance of strategic management lies. It enables you to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to reach. So it is important to determine where you want to reach. There's a beautiful saying by Lewis Carroll, not in the same words, in the famous novel Alice in the Wonderland, if you have read in your secondary or the senior secondary, or if you are generally fond of reading, Alice in Wonderland is a beautiful narrative. It contains lots of implications for understanding management and strategic management. So if you don't know where you are going, any road will get you there. So strategic management helps you clarify the direction. It helps you set your vision. It helps you set your mission and objectives. And it also enables you to reach there. So therefore, strategic management is an important subject. How does it do? And in fact, what is the mantra for bridging this gap? This gap could be even in the knowledge gap. So today, maybe before this class, you had a particular level of understanding of this subject. Maybe after this session, your level of understanding might be different, hopefully might be better than what it was at the beginning of the session. So, a learner is the constructor of his or her own knowledge. You are the constructor of your own knowledge, of your own world. And you have been blessed with 6 honest serving men. Again, a beautiful saying by Rudyard Kipling. And what are the names of those 6 honest serving men, which each one of us has? What? Why? Where and who? We have to ask these questions. For example, we have to ask the question, what is strategy? What is strategic management? Why is it needed? Who does it? How it is done? What is the importance of timing? So, strategy is all about asking these questions, and in dealing with or negotiating with these questions, the strategy evolves. I'll skip a couple of slides to continue the flow of the discussion. Now, for example, one of the issues that that your book deals with is whether strategy emerges at the level of the firm. It is a proactive, or it emerges in response to the environment, right? So therefore, whether the strategy is planned or it is adaptive or it is reactive. So, can there be one answer to this? No, because strategy can be formed in various ways. We shall see maybe in our later slide that strategy can be formulated not only in the planning mode or maybe adaptive mode, but also in an entrepreneurial mode. So there are various modes of strategy formulation. So there are various ways to which you may formulate your strategy. And many a times when we read strategy, in a typical textbook fashion, and try to situate where a particular firm behavior fits in, we have to apply our mind. I have designed a case scenario over which you would like to reflect, and I definitely I will be discussing for the benefit of all. I will read this case scenario, for the benefit of all, even those who cannot probably see the screen and are essentially on the voice mode. I would desist from naming the business house and business organization. I hope you will understand for obvious reasons. And the case scenario goes like this. A prominent business house founded before independence in India ventured into whatever business it could obtain licenses for after independence. You know that when we attained independence, we followed the planned economy, right? In case you have done a paper on economics, you know pre-liberalization and post-liberalization era. So I am talking about the pre-liberalization era after independence, where the industries had to obtain licenses before they could start production. So this business house took whatever license came its way, and it became thus a diversified group. In case you have gone through the entire study material, Of course, we will be doing it later. So when you diversify into unrelated areas, this is called conglomerate diversification or unrelated diversification. Now the question is, because we are looking at the modes of strategy formulation, whether this instance of the business house lapping up whatever business opportunities came its way in the form of licenses may be regarded as a planned strategy or as an adaptive or reactive strategy. Take 2 minutes time. I would be very happy to receive your instant comments on the question group. I am open. That group is open and I'm yet to see your queries and questions other than the one on R&D which came. So I would be very happy if you spend a little time reflecting on this question, and I will get back to you in a short while from now. Yeah. As I look at my app, I don't see any queries so far. Okay. I hope you are on board. You are with me. Welcome back. I think this case scenario is almost self-evident that today, when I, for example, distinguish between a diversification and expansion strategy, and I were to classify business houses or business firms, I would put this business house as a diversified business house, and I might be tempted to think that this diversification was attained through a deliberative planning process, whereas fact of the matter is that this diversification was essentially adaptive reactions to the changing circumstances. In this case, the changing circumstances imply government's licensing policy. So learners, strategy and understanding of strategy, therefore, essentially requires that we are aware of what is happening around. We look at the changes in the business environment, and also the responses of the firms to those changes, and then ascertain for ourselves rather than take any knowledge for granted. While I have elaborated upon this case scenario, you can also think of a similar case scenario in the supplementary question that I have appended to this, um, in the liberalization era, that means, and also after independence, maybe in the recent 5 to 10 years, can you also, identify, identify, um, you know, say these moves by a business house, um, into diversified, unrelated areas, uh, and can you develop therefore a scenario by yourself and thereby fortify your understanding of strategy? You know, someone getting into defense production, without any prior experience to it, being a telecommunication firm. So, and how does it happen? Is it a part of, is it a planned strategy, or does it have because of certain, environmental favorableness and so on? So I have given you some cues. You can develop these scenarios yourselves. Uh, Having, kind of distinguished between the various modes of strategy formulation, here you see planned and adaptive mode. And as I said, a very celebrated author on strategy, Mintzberg, has also talked about entrepreneurial mode, disruptive mode of formulating the strategy, that I will be probably elaborating within this session. Most textbooks, in fact, much of your study material also has been written following the planned approach. Sorry, forgive me. Uh, um, there are no kind of obvious explanations for why a particular approach is emphasized in the textbooks, in the writing of the textbooks and study material. Let us, take it like this: that it appeals to our, kind of rational thinking process. No, we always think in terms of stages and steps, and that's how our, so-called disciplines, strategy management as a discipline, kind of are written and are articulated. So the dominant approach in writing of the textbooks and the study material in strategy is always the classical approach, or the planning mode. So what this classical approach is, we will be briefly talking about it. But as I said, that apart from the two modes of strategy that we talk about, there is an entrepreneurial mode also, a disruptive mode of strategy also. And here I have also given a case scenario for you to think through. And here I have mentioned the name of the firm because it's a very prominent example of disruption in an industry. So the question is, which mode would you attribute Reliance Jio's entry strategy? And what would be your reasons for? So this type of scenario-based questions, you will have in the exams, and we should. 1 minute or 2 minute, kind of guidance on how to attempt these, case scenarios or caselets. If it is, somewhat lengthier, a case study, for that matter. There are two two essential points that you must always remember while attempting the case scenarios. One, you should go by the facts of the case. For example, Reliance Jio penetrated into the Indian telecommunication market by offering free plans. This is the fact of the case. and it disrupted the industry structure. So according to the facts of the case, therefore, the strategy formulation mode chosen here is entrepreneurial mode. So one fundamental precaution or caveat that you should observe in attempting the case scenarios is that you should focus on the facts of the case. These facts would be mentioned in the scenario itself, or the scenario would be so popular that it would be expected that enlightened and aware students like you would know. Secondly, in attempting the case scenarios, the case is a very important tool of learning and also teaching. You should go by the theory. For example, here you could say that according to the theory of strategy formulation, a strategy may be formulated in a planning mode, in an adaptive mode, and entrepreneurial mode. The corresponding characteristics of these three modes are as follows. When we look at the scenario, we realize that it corresponds more to the features of entrepreneurial mode of strategy formulation. Therefore, we conclude that the mode of strategy formulation implied by this case scenario is entrepreneurial mode. I hope it is clear, and if there are any queries, of course, you are most welcome, and we will be responding to. I think this marks almost 1 hour and 15 minutes of this session, and by now I hope you are fairly clear about the meaning of the strategy and how the strategy may be distinguished from other plans. In particular, how it can be distinguished with the business policy. What are the various modes of strategy formulation, and in particular, how can we distinguish between a planning mode and adaptive mode? Why is planning mode preferred in teaching and in content development and in the textbooks, in strategies? And doesn't it become therefore a limitation because strategy as a practice is not only planning, it is also about taking adaptive, generative, and entrepreneurial kind of stances and positions. In fact, talking about Mintzberg therefore defines strategy in terms of certain P's. He defines strategy as a plan. He defines strategy as a ploy. He defines strategy as a position, and he also defines strategy as a perspective. So there are various meanings of and approaches to strategy. Now the question is, these modes, different modes, do they arise in vacuum? Because we have seen strategy by definition is relates the firm to its environment. So we cannot think of strategy without reference to the environment or the context in which it is formulated. So therefore the relevance of these modes in turn lies in the typology or the variation in the environments in which a firm operates. Again, I am taking up a supplement to this understanding of strategy and meaning of strategy and its formulation. I'm sure it will excite you, it will enthuse you to read it, and I'm sure you will kind of be encouraged, if not immediately for your examination point of view, to, for example, to go through this. For the time being, I am stopping this screen sharing or the presentation sharing. I'll come back to camera and I'll show you something. I hope you all are with me. Seems like I'm not able to share, stop sharing and showing this. I wish, and you can probably tell by writing yes, whether you can see this image on your screen. I am showing you a beautiful book by Reeves. He is the expert today. I know, as I mentioned, that we will be referring to the, listening to the expert on the strategy. As you can see, Martin Reeves. We will be kind of having a recorded lecture, recorded bite from him on this this topic that we are doing today. It talks about how the environmental characteristics. I hope you are able to see the screen now. How the environmental characteristics, it's a three-dimensional diagram. Probably the first ever you would be seeing it because your study material doesn't make use of three-dimensional diagrams. Look at X, Y, and Z axis. On the X axis, we have malleability. Malleability means the extent to which the firm can influence the environment. See, business and environment relationship is two-way. Yes, environment influences the business or the organization, but organization also, exerts its influence. As I said, today's business organizations, multinationals are very powerful entities. They do also exert and shape the business environment. Now, on the y-axis, there is unpredictability. Now, whether the environment is predictable or not, or whether its unpredictability is low or high. So, malleability and unpredictability, these are the usual X and Y dimensions. The Z dimension is harshness. If the environment is hostile, for example, lockdown is a hostile environment scenario for the businesses to operate, right? And if it persists, and this COVID breakdown, kind of persists, and as experts are suspecting it to persist for 1-2 years, now this environment is going to be very hostile and harsh to the business, right? So if I were to look at my business environment in terms of these characteristics of unpredictability, malleability, and harshness, these different modes of strategy come alive. The classical planning approach to strategy formulation is suitable when I can predict the environment, but I cannot change it. So I have to kind of formulate my strategy whereby I am able to achieve my objectives given the changes in the environment. On the other hand, if I cannot predict the environment, and nor of course I can change it, so it is low on malleability and it is low on predictability too, or it is high on unpredictability. Therefore, I have to adapt. So I will cross the bridge when it comes, right? On the northeast quadrant, right, the right hand, top right hand corner, when doesn't matter whether his environment is predictable or unpredictable, but I can influence it through my vision. That is called shaping strategy. And the southeast corner represents a situation where I exert a lot of influence. I am powerful, a player in the industry, and the environment is also very stable. So I can achieve whatever I dream, right? So different modes of strategy formulation exist, not in isolation from the environmental context, but the environmental characteristics or the characteristics of the environment in which the firm operates. So I hope it reinforces your understanding of strategy as a function of the firm's characteristics and the environmental characteristics. Now, as you are aware, the chapter outline talks about the importance and kind of limitations of strategic management. It was a great morning, and it was great that Prasanna Kumarji talked about importance of strategic management to the chartered accountants, and he underlined the fact that a prowess and expertise in strategic management can turn you into a business consultant and what you call solution provider. And if you look at the revenue, the pie chart of the or the revenue pie of the top, accounting firms, you will realize that this business consulting, comprises a significant portion of that pie. So how from just being an auditor, we can groom ourselves into business consultants, strategic management, and understanding of strategic management, and our expertise and prowess in it can really help. Of course, we have to look at the importance of strategic management from the point of view of the firm as well. And as we mentioned on screen, it provides direction to the firm. And very interestingly, when the environment is turbulent, it is volatile, right? Will really strategy help? At times a counter question comes. In fact, somebody has said, strategy is dead, long live strategy, right? So will strategy or will planning cease to be, kind of important given the turbulence of the environment, So again, as I said, in a classical mode, yes, strategy provides a sense of direction to the firm. It makes it aware of its strengths and weaknesses. It makes you sensitive to the environment. And strategy derives its utility because it enables the firm to return above average performance. That is, research has shown, for example, the firms that engage in strategic planning, they outsmart the firms that do not on the various performance criteria. In fact, strategy derives its reason for existence, because it enables you to achieve superior results. Those who have had a background in economics, they would know the concept of average or normal profits. And for example, you relate it to the industry structure, and that's the beauty of the subject. I'm moving to economics, and I think the earliest theory of strategy come from the economics theory, game theory, for example. So, firm in the long run is said to be attaining only normal profits, right? In the short run, yes, it can achieve, or hope to achieve above normal profits, and of course, it can incur losses, above normal losses, or also supernormal losses also. But strategy, we have said, is a long-term plan. So how the firm is able to earn supernormal profits, above average performance, year on year, consistently, that is what is attributable to strategy. It's the job of the business consultant, therefore, to enable its client firms outperform the competition, to excel, to achieve superior performance. Of course, as I always say, and I encourage you to think, it is always advisable to take a counter question to the popular logic. What happens when the environment is not benign? It is very, very hostile. It is turbulent, where it will not be possible for you to kind of influence the environment. Its malleability is low. What will happen to strategic management in this? We have designed, on behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, an expert talk on this. And as I showed, the expert that is going to speak to you, you can consider it as a master class, right? In professional courses, it is a revision of what is called a master class. So I am your regular preceptor or facilitator. So I am now inviting a master on strategy and on the various ways of strategy formulation, and linking it to the environmental context in which the strategy formulation happens, to Martin Reeves. So I will be playing a video. It is a very popular TED talk. In fact, besides the point, I would also urge you to explore on YouTube or even on TED.com TED Talks on strategy and the related issues. In fact, I will probably bring in a case study of TEDx also, for your perusal as we go along in this particular subject. So here goes the video that I'll be playing for you. I hope If the controls or the anyone from the audience can tell me if the audio of the this video is clear. Just write back saying yes. I hope the audio is clear. Anyone on controls here? And after the, I hope the video is audible as well. I'll go ahead with playing the video because I have not received the audio.
Not audible.
Not audible. Now,
No. No.
now,
Only no. No.
now.
No. No.
Oh, so then in that case, we'll have to call off this video because there seems to be some technical glitch. Although I can hear it, apparently it seems that the audience is not able to hear the voice. So, okay. So, I will try it once again and please
Dr.
do let,
Saxena?
yeah,
Yeah, sure. Dr. Saxena, queries are also coming.
yeah, I will respond to those queries, but I can't see on my
Right,
phone.
right.
I can't see those queries on phone. I have logged on to
Ruchi
your
is sharing with you. You can see
Yeah.
on the chat box also.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You
I'll
can
do that.
open your mail box also.
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
Do that, please.
Sure,
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I'll be taking up the queries. So far, the queries that I have are these pertain to what you call the research and development functionality, and the query goes like this. Mm, direct chat. There is some issue with the direct chat which I am not able to access. But as far as I can remember, the query pertained to R&D strategy guidelines, which is if the technical progress is slow, the rate of market growth is moderate, then in-house R&D is a preferred solution, right? Now, it is all about research and development strategies. Now, here the alternative under question is whether I should have an in-house research and development, or I should collaborate or outsource this research and development, or I should set up my research and development centers, kind of elsewhere. In a way, I should have a commissioned. Commission means not in the sense of earning the commission. Commission means I commission it, I deploy it. I deploy a research and development. It will depend upon the firm's strengths. Now, if I have an in-house research and development team, and there are people who are capable of pulling it off for me, then I can go for my research and in-house research and development. And because the technical progress is slow, so my research team can take its time in developing, the new products or the variations in the new products, and I can plan my product life cycle. So at an appropriate stage, I will obsolete the existing product and I will introduce the new product, so that I am always in the green stage, in the growth stage, right? At times there may be and this is an environmental contingency, there may be a need to hurry up your R&D. Now, for example, in COVID time, there is a need to hurry up your research and development, design and development for ventilators, for masks, and for other palliative care and supportive care, and maybe even the treatment. So in that case, we have to fund the research and development being done elsewhere, because research and development capabilities might be elsewhere. They may not be with us, with our department, our organization. So I have to, in a way, outsource my research and development. So I hope, therefore, it is clear. So again, go back to the Rudyard Kipling, mantra. Then what is to be done, when it would be more feasible or advisable to do it, why, right, and who has to do it. So if we ask these questions pertaining to a decision situation, we shall always be able to do it. I can see, I think, some more questions probably in the chat box. Let me see. Yeah. So the query is whether what is meant by globalization, right? We mentioned in our when we were discussing the link between management and strategy, and we situated management in the context of coordination, and we said that strategic, the prefixing of management with the word strategy becomes important when we view the complexities of international division of labor. So when there is an international division of labor and our production process is globalized, so what is globalization? Globalization is, a worldwide integration of our, production and distribution, right? So, in case of globalization, therefore, the strategic management, even becomes more critical. And if my suppliers are, for example, in different parts of the globe, my strategy formulation and strategic management faces additional challenges, right? So because those suppliers, I would have not much control, right? And moreover, my control over the supply sources would be subject to, for example, peace and normality in the world markets. And you know that today world markets are crashing. They are shut down, because of this pandemic, right? So I hope the meaning of globalization is clear. In terms of the economic integration between the firms, right? Globalization can occur at various levels. At the level of the government, so G2G, firm to firm, right? And also what you call individual to individual, person to person globalization. Here we are more concerned with company to company globalization. It takes various forms, wherein we are marketing our product globally, we are sourcing our inputs globally, and so on. Another query that I have seen chat box is whether the turbulent environment turbulence, the phrase used by is will help us, staying the calm and poised, right, and to take the right step or action. Yes, strategy as an intellectual process into a deep philosophical kind of a process, requires you to step back and have a look at the apparent turbulence and try and discover the order within the chaos. So strategic management as a planning tool, and has that effect on the decision makers. And I think uh, above this, above everything, the belief, the top management's belief, the leaders' belief that tough times do not last. The tough people do, right? So if you are able to keep your calm and quiet, you can really face the environment turbulence. Secondly, as I said, in the wake of environmental turbulence, you do not give up planning. Rather, you sharpen your, what you call planning tools. Titanic sank. For example, the story goes like this: because the navigator and the compass, probably did not provide the right signal at the right time. So, what is needed is that we even sharpen our strategic management tools and our environmental scanning tools with a view to staying alert and to be able to thwart the challenges emerging from the environment, right? I can see the question regarding the formulation of strategy, the three modes of strategy formulation. And if you allow me to share my screen again and my presentation. Let us go back to the presentation, and if you can have a look at this, and also Mintzberg's follow up, that planning mode will be more applicable when the environmental variability is kind of low and environment is predictable, so I can predict it. So therefore, once I have made the prediction, it's called predict and prepare mode. So once I know that environment is going to be like this, I can prepare myself. I can formulate a strategy to cope with that particular environment. Emergent strategies I talked about. In fact, some people say reactive strategies are no strategies, because generally we associate a kind of a deliberateness, intentionality behind kind of strategy formulation, and therefore we say that the reactive strategies are no strategies. However, I guess the ability of the environment to adapt is a great strategic capability, because there would be many times that you will not be able to anticipate the environmental changes, and you will have to cope with the changes as they happen, right? And entrepreneurial mode, as I said, are rather disruptive. Peter Drucker called these as creative destruction, and drawing analogy to Shiva, Lord Shiva, in Hindu mythology, who does that Tandava Nritya to resurrect the kind of cosmos or Brahmand or the universe. So entrepreneurial strategies are the ones that kind of topsy-turvy and disrupt the industry structure. They challenge the existing players, and they are forced to kind of respond to your strategic maneuvers. So I hope I have been able to clarify these queries. Someone has written, in the lockdown situations, all organizations will adapt to strategy. Not only this, as I said, this this lockdown is an environment-induced, business environment-induced disruption, and many a times, kind of survival is the name of the game. I have been writing and on COVIDonomics, right? The kind of economics and the management that should evolve in view of the impact of these pandemics. I guess when the human life and humanity is at stake, all businesses and governments need to focus on the survival of the human species, and maybe the economics has to take a back seat. And because once, after all, who creates this wealth? The humans, right? Narayana Murthy of Infosys, Infosys chairman, founding chairman, said that you take away all the assets, physical assets from me, leave my men, I will create those physical assets again. I will create those research and development capabilities again. So therefore, I guess in hostile environments, and pandemic, implies a kind of a very hostile environment. Yes, we need an entrepreneurial mode, a mode wherein we will challenge the existing, kind of ways of thinking strategy and looking at performance all purely on profit and economic count. Rather, we will have to look at the performance of the firm on human counts, how many lives we are able to save, how we are able to retain human morale, and how we shall bounce back when the situation returns to normality. I hope much of these queries have been taken care of. There is another query on, vision shared and shared vision. This concept of the strategic intent comes in chapter 3. However, I am very happy to respond to this query. So, what is a vision after all? Vision is is a credible future that you think of, your organization, right? What you will be 5 years hence, 10 years hence, and so on, right? So, the this vision, in order that it translates into performance of the company, has to be shared across all the echelons of the management hierarchy, with the those responsible for implementation and on ground. How will you distinguish between vision shared and shared vision? I think it would be distinguishable on the basis of the approach followed. So, if the vision is that of the founder, members, or the top management, and it is shared down the line, so it is a top-down approach. So, vision sharing is a top-down approach, but developing a shared vision is a bottom approach, wherein everybody participates in the formulation of the vision of the firm. Okay, moving on with the presentation. I hope you all can see it on screen. We could not play the video. I am sorry for the technical glitches. This will be resolved. Maybe so in our next session we shall work on it. We have mentioned this. In fact, Prasanna Kumarji already talked about it. The levels of strategy formulation, wherein we looked at the various levels, and the question is, what are the differences? We will understand this, kind of the categorization of strategy levels by understanding the differences. A corporation can be viewed as multi-business, multi-divisional, kind of an entity, right? So a corporation becomes a portfolio of businesses. And when I am looking at strategy formulation at the corporate level, I am looking at the corporation as a whole. And when I say as a whole, that comprises the various businesses. So I am setting the strategic direction of my firm. Now, for example, if I choose growth, as a strategic alternative, then I'm looking at that the corporation as a whole grows. It is quite possible that some of the businesses may not be growing because in my portfolio, in my corporation, there might be certain businesses which are slow growing, right, or which have stagnated, which are at the maturity stage. But the overall thrust of the corporation is growth. And a part, a strategy within this thrust could be maybe to eventually get rid of the non-growth businesses, to siphon off, to spin off the low-growth businesses and to focus on the growth businesses. So the overall thrust of my corporation is growth. At the business level strategy, I am the environment for the corporate level business is the macroeconomic environment. I always said at the outset that the strategy has always to be understood with reference to the context. So when I look at the context, the strategy formulation at the corporate level, the relevant context will be national, environment, nation's environment, domestic environment, and the international environment. For the business level strategy, wherein I am looking at a particular business, so the business is a part of the industry, so the relevant business environment is the industry. So I will look at the industry structure. Now suppose I am in an appliances business, or I am in an apparel business, right, or fashion business. So I'll be looking at the fashion industry. My unit of analysis of the environment will be fashion industry, right? And yes, I will refer to the broader socio-cultural environment as it impinges upon the fashion industry, but that will be indirect. So my direct reference will be with my business environment. Business environment means the industry environment. Functional level strategies are specific to the business functionality, be it marketing, finance, and so on. So I have to develop a marketing strategy. Now suppose my business strategy is differentiation. Now my promotion policy has to highlight my product features, and it has to, kind of drive home into the minds of my target market that, look, this product is different. So there used to be an advertisement of a prominent FMCG brand that this sauce is different. So they called in a celebrity endorser, and it highlighted the point that this is not ordinary sauce or not any other tomato sauce, but this sauce is different. So functional strategies are with respect to certain functionalities. Now, these strategies have to be in a way compatible with each other. So in a way, functional strategies become a means to implement your business strategies and the corporate strategy. So that is the linkage between these, or relationship between these levels of strategy. I think with this, we more or less come to the conclusion of the first unit. We have spent good 2 hours because I believe that first unit lays the foundation of the entire discussion that we are going to do. So your second unit focuses on the competitive strategy. So we will be focusing on the competitive landscape or the competitive environment of business, and what kind of strategy analysis and competition analysis needs to be done, and how core competencies of the firm provide its strength and lead to the competitive advantage. And what, in the larger scheme of the things, the environmental analysis, kind of comprises, SWOT, the strengths, weaknesses pertaining to the firm, and opportunities and threats with respect to the, external environment. Before I take up the content of chapter 2 and also the issues relating to it, I would like to go back to this slide in chapter 1. It will a related slide will come in maybe in chapter 2 as well, when we look at the elements of strategy. I would urge you to kind of think for a while, in terms of business level strategy, particularly, and if you can think of business level strategy formulation for these divisions as strategic business units. You think for 2 minutes on this, and again, as I said, at times dichotomy becomes important. So can you distinguish between business divisions and a strategic business unit, right? Or are they different, or are they the same? So if you can apply a little bit of your mind and be with me on this, I'm sure you will develop a good understanding. Of course, I will be debriefing you on this concept in a short while from now. Welcome back. Yeah, any responses in the, let me see if there have been any, okay, in the meanwhile, I've got questions on diversification strategies. I'll be definitely responding to these. And okay, yeah. Yeah, so we were talking about the divisions and strategic business units, right? You see the different different businesses of the corporation. So when we talk about corporate level strategy, they will become strategic business units. Now, what is the defining line, distinguishing characteristic between a normal division and a strategic division or strategic business unit? Mind you, division is also a business unit, but what makes a business unit a strategic business unit, right? I think what makes a division a strategic business unit is its criticality in realizing the corporate level strategy. Now, So if the corporate level strategy is to globalize, right? Is to explore the overseas markets, right? My those businesses which are, for example, export oriented or which are overseas oriented, they will become strategic. But those businesses which are more home oriented will not have that kind of strategic impetus or implication for my corporate level strategy. So what I am trying to convey. Now, whether a particular division is a strategic business unit would depend upon its role in the grand strategy, in the strategy of the corporation as a whole, right? I can also distinguish between a division and a strategic business unit. From the point of view of an organizational structure also. For example, even for a single business, there can be different divisions. And those, especially coming from commerce background, and have studied a chapter on organization structures, basis of departmentation. So I can create product divisions or market divisions or customer divisions depending upon my need to focus on these specific aspects. So my business is one. Now, for example, I might be an atta, kind of company, right? So one segment, atta means the flour, right? Wheat flour. So I have a flour mill. So I can have two divisions. One is the division that deals with with the bulk customers such as bakeries, etc., or bread makers, etc., and one division deals with the retail customers of wheat flour, right? So even a single business may have multiple divisions, right? These divisions may or may not be playing a strategic role, right? But usually the idea of strategic business unit is attributable not to a single business corporation, but to a multi-business corporation. So please note this difference. So I have talked the difference between strategic business unit and business divisions on two dimensions. One, even one single business firm can have multiple divisions that may have strategic or non-strategic implication, but usually the term is applicable to a multi-business corporation. Even in a multiple business corporation, all the business divisions may not have a strategic implication, right? So therefore, the defining characteristic or point or that needs to be underlined is whether a particular business unit or a business division is contributing toward the realization of the corporate strategy. Let me see other questions before I move to chapter 2. These questions pertain to the business level, the corporation level strategies, where you are talking about Tata Chorus kind of a Tata's acquisition of Chorus, right? Whether this is a horizontal diversification, right? You know that Tata, when we say Tata, it is the company, relevant companies, Tata Steel and of course Chorus Steel. Same product, so horizontal diversification. I think we need to relate and delve deeper into especially this kind of merger and acquisition. It's an external growth strategy, first of all, and And here diversification is only in terms of the geographic diversification because the product is same, right? It is steel only, right? It is to relate to a kind of corporate aspiration. Before Tata acquired Chorus, you see, it was not probably even in the top 50 steel making companies of the world, right? And here, this strategy is enabling Tata to overnight become among top 5 companies of the world. So that is the beauty of strategic management, right? And strategy, that it enables you to achieve dramatic results, right? And superlative performances. And that's where companies spend a lot of kind of time, money, and energy resources on strategy formulation. Okay, now there's another question on the idea of core competence and competitive advantage, which I think is the subject matter of Unit 2, which I'm quickly shifting over to. And maybe I will begin the discussion of Unit 2 with this question itself. And I'm sure the learners would immensely benefit from the kind of discussion that we have in this regard. Okay. So, as we have seen that this unit pertains to competitive landscape, and with reference to the competitive landscape, it also focuses on the specific advantages, strategic advantages of the firm, which is called core competence. And the question is, how do the core competence lead to competitive advantage? I straight away take up this question. At the moment, I am presuming that we know what this core competence is. So I shall provide straight away a link between core competence and competitive advantage before I carry on with my discussion of the unit at large. And I will be situating this idea of core competence in the larger context, because context is very important, competitive landscape. Okay, so now, if you look at this core competence theory, what this core competence theory is, it is given by our management guru C.K. Prahlad. We lost him, I think, a couple of years back. Another important idea that C.K. Prahlad is associated with is the notion of fortune at bottom of the pyramid, which, if the time permits in this session, I'll be talking a bit. Now, the whole theory goes like this, that every individual, just as every individual has certain strengths, every company also has certain strengths, and of course weaknesses too. It has resources. In fact, the idea of core competence theory emerges from the resource-based view of the firm, that a firm is a bundle of resources. Now, all the resources do not lead to competitive advantage. That means only those resources which are endowed with certain characteristics that lead to competitive advantage. I mean to say, look at your competitive advantage, say in exams. Suppose in response to the question on C.K. Prahlad's core competence theory, right? You also rely on your chartered accountancy notes, and other students are also relying on that and produce the same content, right? Will it get you superior performance or superior marks? No. It is only when you are able to write something which is very valuable and which others have not written, right? It is rare. So you come out with some rare insight, for example, of Prahlad's core competence theory. Now, for example, if you could write an example that, for example, Sony Corporation has its core competence in miniaturization, and this competence has given it a shot in the arm in devising very smaller and pocket products in a diverse range of product lines. Now that is where you are giving something extra rare, and your own writing style is non-imitable and non-substitutable. That it gives you a unique advantage vis-a-vis your fellow learners and fellow examinees. So you are able to score better marks than others. So just as a student in facing an exam and hoping for a superior performance, likewise a firm hoping for a superior performance. This theory says that superior performance comes not from a more favorable environment, rather it comes from a more favorable firm situation and firm's strengths and core competencies. And I will be elaborating more on this idea of core competencies alongside, or let me just do this because I can go back to the competitive environment even later, because we have just taken up this idea of core competence theory and its relationship with competitive advantage and superior performance. Let me kind of elaborate more on this idea of core competence. CK Prahlad talks about this core competence as the root system of a diversified corporation. That one or few core competencies can develop, can be developed into a myriad of products. Now, suppose I have core competence in designing display systems, right? Canon, for example, has this core competence in designing the display systems. Now imagine a range of products, including your laptop screen, your mobile screen, right? On-screen displays in shopping malls, banks, right? Even what you call out-of-home advertising, right? So what you can do is that to your core competence in display systems, you can produce a variety of products. You can diversify and expand your business, like anything. So the core competence provides the nutrition and the nutrients to the roots of the business or roots of the corporation. And I have to not only build these core competencies, but I also have to keep adding these core competencies. Related to the idea of core competencies, the dynamic capabilities, and the core competencies you are not born with. You acquire these, you build this to, your sustained, for example, learning and investment, right? And therefore, one way to defend competition, because we are talking about competitive landscape, and we have to defend and succeed and excel in competitive situation, is to build on our competencies. So philosophically, if I have to beat my competitor, I don't have to pull his or her legs. Rather, I have to improve myself, right? इसे कहते हैं ना कि किसी की लाइन छोटा करना में सक्सेस नहीं है, अपनी लाइन को बड़ा कर लेना. So the core competence is about building and your strengths are building your capabilities, and on the edifice of your strengths you take on to the competition head on. When the going is tough, the tough get going. That's the kind of spirit of core competence based strategy formulation. I hope uh, 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 there are no more questions on this. And just to conclude this entire model of core competence and link it with the model of strategy formulation, that this model of strategic management presumes that firm is a bundle of competencies. As I said, this idea comes from the RBV, resource-based view of the firm, by James Barney, right? Just to kind of dramatize it even more, when we say strategy is a function of firm capability and environment, different theorists have emphasized these two factors differently. Some people say strategy and success is not what comes from the environment, but it comes from the firm's capabilities. When the other says that no, the environment matters a lot, right? So this view, the resource-based view of the firm, highlights the importance of the valuable, rare, non-imitable, non-substitutable resources, which are regarded as the competencies of the firm, which are a source of sustainable competitive advantage, which is the strategic goal. And their uniqueness, as I said, if every firm has those competencies, then of course you don't have an advantage. It is only if these are unique to you, which everybody needs. For example, display system, a computer manufacturer would need, right? A mobile phone maker would need, right? A OOH, that is out of home advertiser, would need, and so on and so forth. So you have to have those unique competencies. And you have to, therefore, build a vision and use these competencies to realize this vision for the long-term dominance or sustainable competitive performance of the corporation. Okay. So the firm's performance, especially at the business level, comes, in the wake of the competition in the prevalent competitive kind of situation, right? So I am going to devote the next 20-25 minutes on the competitive landscape with greater focus on definitely competitive analysis, right? Industry and competitive analysis. I will bypass, therefore, the broader strategic analysis, because elsewhere we have talked about SWOT, a lot. We have talked about environment, its layers, its influence, how the business can impact. Then we have referred to the what you call predictability, malleability, and what you call hostility of dimensions of the environment. So we have done a fair amount of discussion about the larger context of the strategy analysis. So this is the figure in green on the left screen. Is the diagram taken from your book at page 2.6. It talks about strategic analysis. And it highlights the fact that the strategic analysis, in fact, is nothing but the SWOT analysis, right? So I have, drawn a parallel diagram on the right-hand side, which takes you to the SWOT, because strategic analysis will comprise external analysis, that is the external environment analysis, wherein you will look at the opportunities and threats coming from the social, economic, political, technological environment. If your unit of analysis is corporate strategy, but if your unit of analysis is business level strategy, then these threats and opportunities might come from the industry structure, that is the suppliers' bargaining power and the customers, right? And also the easing of the entry into the industry by, for example, a policy, inducement and so on. And internal analysis comprise strengths and weaknesses of the firm. So the SWOT leads to strategy identification and selection. So if we use this again famed two-dimensional diagram, and on the x-axis we take weaknesses to strengths, and on the y-axis we take threats and opportunities, we get 4 possible combinations of strategies. Your text, and generally many texts do not use SWOT analysis for identification of the possible strategies. And that's why at times we distinguish SWOT, S-W-O-T, from TOWS analysis, T-O-W-S, TOWS analysis. Note, same phrase, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? Are used even in TOWS, right? Where's the fine difference? So let me quickly give you the fine difference, and then take it from there. Because and where is the fine difference? I said fine difference will lie in whether this enables us to pinpoint our strategic direction, strategy identification and selection. Quickly to the TOWS analysis, as you can see on screen here. Let me see TOWS analysis. Yeah, here. This is on page 2.40 of your thing. So what I'm doing here, I'm comparing TOWS with the SWOT. As I said, same phraseology is used, the same concepts are used: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But what TOWS does is that it gives you certain principles of strategy. Again, those who are mathematically inclined, they will find it very interesting. Those mathematically inclined, in anyways, you would have done a paper on quantitative methods or business mathematics, and done what is called linear programming, yeah, and the principles of linear programming. So SO, that means the firm has strengths. So firm operates from a position of strength, has unique competencies, and their environment is full of opportunities, right? So the direction is maximize the maximum profit possible, right? Clearly there is an indication for growth, expansion, right? So and because to growth and expansion, you will be multiplying your profitability, right? And move on to the northeast quadrant, where the firm's weaknesses galore. Its equipment has depleted, right? Its reserves position in the balance sheet is poor, right? And even the industry in which it is operating is experiencing a recession or a downtrend. Here, your objective has to minimize the maximum loss. You might like to hold on to the business because you will hope the situation to improve. So your approach will be to minimize the maximum loss. Come to the southeast. Probably exit is the right approach, because you have to minimize the minimum loss. The threats are tremendous, and weaknesses are galore. So minimizing the minimum loss, or in a way, what in economics is referred to as shutdown point. Those again who have had a paper in economics, they would know that shutdown point is the point where the firm is not able to meet even its variable costs, right? Forget the contribution towards the fixed cost and therefore profits, right? So here maybe an exit strategy or retrenchment strategy would be applicable. So what TOWS does very explicitly, it provides you with the strategic direction. As far as I am concerned, I do not see any difference between TOWS and SWOT because to my mind they both mean the same. But in terms of fine pedagogic academic distinctions, the difference between the two lies in the fact that TOWS matrix explicitly gives you the principles of strategic behavior, right? So this max min, min max, max max, min min are the principles of strategic behavior. I hope it is clear. Let me check if there are any questions on this. Yeah, so I think I have taken care of the TOWS matrix and this. There is a question on strategic control. That is my last topic, but nevertheless, I'll see if I can talk about this right now and even in the context of the present unit. Before that, because I have to, it is 9:30 now. Let me quickly take that control, kind of a strategic control question, which although does not pertain to this unit, but why should I keep an inquisitive mind waiting? I will link it to the idea of gap analysis. Remember, if you have been with me throughout the course of this presentation, I did talk about the gap analysis and the strategy enabling this, kind of gap analysis. Here is the kind of gap analysis, right? Now, if I am following a particular strategy and your firm, that means this is my present strategy is here. If I may show it, it is kind of, it is here. Okay. Just a minute. So when I realized that my strategy, kind of is not taking me, strategic control is like control of an automobile, right? An automobile typically has three types of control. Feed forward, for example, in your what you call GPS system, you will put in the plan, right? Map where you have to go. Then you have got a steering wheel, so you have to see. So much of the strategy control has to be real time because strategy involves huge cost. I have to keep following whether I am going in the right direction or not. So if I realize that my existing strategy is taking me in the right direction, right, or not, and at the right pace or not, and in sync with my aspirations or with respect to my best competitor or industry average or wherever, then I have to kind of press in some measure to ensure that I am in sync with my aspiration. So strategic control, therefore, lies in my ability to ensure that my strategy is delivering the desired results or not, right? And these results may not be in terms of the immediate sales, profits, and reputation realization. What matters, because strategy is a long-term plan, what matters is that whether in the long run or in the time frame of the strategy that I have chosen, I am likely to reach where I want to reach. I hope this kind of clarifies. Now let me go back to the analysis of the environment which I had taken up, and I had said that how this strategy analysis actually in fact is about looking into the business environment, which layer will depend upon what level of strategy I am formulating. Idea is to develop a profile of the environmental threats and opportunities. It is also called ETOP, Environmental Threat and Opportunity Profile, and also a profile of strategic advantage. It is called SAP, Strategic Advantage Profile, right? So, what is the idea? So, once I know my environment, once I know myself, that is my own strengths and weaknesses, my equation, strategy as a function of form and environment is complete, I can identify the appropriate strategy. Here, of course, I am concerned more in this chapter with the competitive analysis, and I have designed this slide especially for our learners from the institute. And if you look at carefully, this draws on the content of your of your study material, but it builds also on it, and it adds you. It adds a lot of perspective to the understanding of industry and competitive. So how does it all begin? I have to every firm, every business is a part of an industry, right? So suppose Tata Steel is a part of steel industry. Tata Telecom is a part of telecom industry, right? Reliance Telecom is a part of telecommunication industry. You have to look at the features or the structure of the industry. What do I mean by that? I have to identify who all are there in the industry. I have to make a list, right? And I have to identify the criteria on which I will be assessing my competition. For example, it could be size of the firm or the range of the products, whether they are offering full line or only part line of the products, right? I have to develop whether they have deep pockets, so whether they have, their reserve situation, their financial position is strong, right? And I have to score the competitors, right? I have to assess the competitors, how powerful they are in relation to my extant or current situation, whether I shall be able to, kind of beat them, match them, or whether I will have to play a second fiddle, I also ran types, right? Yes. Like a game of chess, I have to anticipate. What are they likely to do? Suppose I am contemplating to enter a particular industry where there are already several players, just as Jio entered into a telecommunication industry where there were already so many players. What is going to be their move upon my entry? How will I, and what are the existing entry barriers that they have created, whether I will be able to penetrate those entry barriers or not, right? So I have to anticipate their moves. And I have to also see whether the industry is growing or not. For example, airlines industry, world over, was undergoing a recession. And we had to, the companies had to, innovate and come up with, the low cost, alternatives to be able to survive and thrive in the market, right? So we'll be working on these aspects to kind of ascertain the industry structure and industry features, right? And then probably I can create a matrix. So when I'm scoring the competitors on all the 5 criteria, for example, if you look at a matrix is an arrangement of numbers in rows and columns. So if you look at the columns, I have taken the competitive criteria, criterion 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Criterion is the singular of criteria. And then there are, these 6 competitors. I can score them. Question is, how do I score them? I can develop a rating scale. If you have done a paper on statistics, for example, you would know the rating scales simply on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, right? So for each criterion, I will be able to score each competitor, and then I can find a sum. So that will show the collective strength of my competition, right? And then accordingly, I can think through what I need to do in this competitive landscape, especially with reference to my own core competencies, right? I have taken a simplified two-dimensional model of this, wherein I have taken the most famous, choice dilemma of price and quality. So normally we say that जैसे हमारे यहाँ बोलते हैं जितना गुड़ डालोगे उतना मीठा होगा. A good quality can only be had at a high price, right? So there is a kind of a trade-off between price and quality. So in strategy analysis, in competition analysis, for that matter, these trade-offs are very important. Ultimate trade-off is risk and return trade-off in strategy, right? So you know that higher the risk, higher is the return expectation, right? So how do I balance the risk and return of the chosen strategy? So we will be doing this when we do strategy evaluation, and so on. For now, suppose from a simple 2x2, I have taken a 3x3 to make it more elaborate, kind of a matrix that I look at the price dimension into low, moderate, high, and quality dimension also low, moderate, high. If I am dealing with my competitors, along the diagonal. I hope you understand the concept of diagonal from the southwest to the northeast. If I am dealing with the competitors who are perfectly, in sync on the price and quality dimension, then it will be difficult for me to enter that particular market, right? But when I find the competitors, above the diagonal, that is towards my northwest, right? You can see I can overcome my competition, because here the competitors are charging moderate price for low quality. So what I can do is I can come out with the moderate quality, and then it kind of beats the competition. So I hope you understand. So each figure takes a while to understand, but you should understand how to look at a figure, right, and how to look at the data, right. And here I am not put in the data. I have not plotted the individual firms, right. So you can imagine only the complexity in real time, how the strategy makers are formulating their strategy in real time, and how, for example, professionals like chartered accountants and others can be a huge support to them in terms of a decision support system. How big data analytics will help the corporation, to plot their competitors on these matrices, right? What I've done is I have cleverly converted a two-dimensional table into a three-dimensional table. So I don't make a 3D figure. I retain a 2D matrix, but I add a third dimension. Why and how? I convert the price and quality dimension into one dimension by price to benefit dimension. And then I look at the geographic coverage, because I may be competing, I may be interested in looking at the competitors in my locality. So all the competitors may not have national presence, right? And I may not be aspiring for a national presence either. So my competition reference is the local players. Quite possible in the local market, suppose I am in the NCR market, it is possible that some firm from Chennai or Bangalore is also, kind of competing in my market, right? So what I mean to say here is that competition will always be with reference to a reference to a particular reference point will be, and by reference point could be, for example, the geographic scope, right? Because if I am comparing with a national player, then I will have to compete with him on the same terms and conditions, right? So I have to. I have a couple of case studies, wherein a local player was per force, had to follow a national level strategy to be able to thwart the competition. I'm short on those time on to bring that case scenario, so I will bring it in my follow-up session in the evening. But for now, it should be sufficient for you to understand that how we can develop a matrix of mapping our competition. And the ultimate mapping comes in from the strategy group, because I said I have to really find out which particular group of firms I belong to or I aspire to belong to, and where I am going to compete. I have to determine my competitive landscape, arena, where I am going to play, right? Because it's not only to have equipment, but also to determine the arena where you are going to play. So strategic management enables you also to choose the turf on which you would like to play. That's the beauty of strategic management. So as you can see that here what we have done is that, and because there was a question on research and development, interestingly, how this slide brings in that R&D query again, that how a R&D focus and overseas focus, these two dimensions can be combined to define the various strategic groups within the industry. That means an industry is not an abode of homogeneous firms. These firms are not all alike, they are different. But then among the firms, some firms are more alike with some and different from other. That means within an industry, there might be various groups prevalent, right? So here we are, and these groups are called strategic groups because they follow almost the same strategy. So we have taken a case study of pharmaceutical industry. You can think of other industries, and we can develop case scenarios based on this particular matrix, right? So suppose we are looking at we wish to enter or diversify into a pharma business, and as of now we want to cater to the domestic market. I have to see, because we are just entering, we cannot afford to go into R&D. We have to go for bulk production, right, of the given molecules, right? So who are the firms that are in low quadrant? That low overseas, that is the high domestic, and the low R&D focus. For example, I find there are 18 firms which I call as exploiters, and their return on sales is 2%, right? So when I'm planning my entry into this category, I can hope to gain a return on sales of 2%, the margin of 2%. I have to see how it will translate into my return on investment and earning per share, and so on and so forth. So likewise, for the other groups, right? What if I want to straight away be born as a global firm, and I have tied up with certain firms abroad with respect to their research and development category? Because as you can see, the highest return on sales is coming to the research and development firms, and there are very few firms that specialize in research and development. As you can see, 4 firms in total. We are talking of Indian pharmaceutical industry, and their return on sales is 11.3%. So that is how the industry and competitive analysis empowers me to kind of determine my competitive scape and therefore develop my competitive strategy. Let me see if there are any questions on the group as of now. We are nearing the conclusion of the this particular session. As far as I can see, there are No firms, no questions. But of course, I can see that Sun Pharma and Ranbaxy, cases of market integration, kind of diversification, and so therefore you can see that how Ranbaxy was taken over by some Japanese pharmaceutical company, Daiichi, right? And how Ranbaxy's capabilities, both in terms of research and development and bulk production, were leveraged by the Japanese, kind of counterpart. So it is very important. I would recommend to the students of chartered accountancy to focus on an industry. So one is your, what you call domain specialization. You can specialize in audit, you can specialize in business consulting too, and other is the industry specialization, because that gives you a vertical, kind of a direction, and this helps you grow. You might begin as an audit of the, for example, manufacturing concerns or pharmaceutical firms or banks, but you may gradually graduate to becoming a consultant in banking industry and determining its strategies, right? How to grow, how to diversify, how to enhance profitability, and so on, so forth. So what is meant, therefore, is that the industry and competitive landscape is the arena where the business level strategies are, business level wars are kind of fought, contested. I do not like to refer to business as a war. More so, I believe in businesses as purveyors of and usherers of harmony, right? These are the value-based questions, because what should be our objective? What should be our mission? It should be only profit. It should be or fulfilling a social purpose, or it should be meaningfulness. These are the issues that we will be discussing in our evening session. Needless, however, and suffice it would here that we look at industry as our arena of performance, and objective here is that we should be able to formulate, we should be able to identify the companies with whom we would like to compete, and therefore draw our competitive strategies, accordingly. Now, this chapter talks about that how we can compete on the strength of our characteristics of the value chain. For example, I might be very good in the logistics of the business, or my procurement is very strong. I am able to procure at a cheap cost and of a good quality, and thereby I can compete with my competitors by cost leadership or by price leadership, right? And in the process of this, I can take a call on how this price will distribute customer surplus, consumer surplus, and farm surplus, and how I can use this value proposition to the customer in sync with my competitive landscape for kind of building profitability, attaining kind of performance. We talked about much of our competitive strategy from the point of view of the entry level or introduction level of business. But what will happen if the industry is maturing, and how am I going to defend my position in a maturing industry, can I still be beat the competition by bringing out certain strategies that will hold me in good stead? These are the questions that are available that a strategy maker has to take a call. So now these certain other matrices which the chapter has, the kind of Ansop's growth matrix that the chapter has. It pertains not to the industry and competitive analysis. Essentially, it pertains more to the what you call broader SWOT analysis. So, like a corporate level, business strategy. So we will be, and you will see that these diagrams recur in your subsequent chapters. So we will be able to deal with these in a much better fashion when we take up those chapters. For now, I will go, once again try to look at if there are any specific questions that can be quickly taken up in the last 3 or 4 minutes before I would be excusing myself out of this session, and we'll only hope to meet in the session in the evening. Okay. Yeah, so we have talked about value chain and PLC. I have talked about, and then you have talked about the ADL matrix. Let me see if I can quickly go to the ADL matrix that is there in your this syllabus, which talks about the relative strategies during the successive stages of the industry life cycle. So one is the firm life cycle and the other is the industry life cycle, right? So industry is in nascent stage or growth stage or mature stage, and where is the firm? So what will the what are the strategic options available to the firm under the successive stages of industry evolution, right? So if you come from a very strong internal competencies and a dominant firm position, if the company is maturing or aging, you can defend. It is useful to draw the concept of the marginal firm. If you have done economics, in economic theory of firm, there's a concept of marginal firm, right? The firm which will be the first to exit, right? So a weak firm will be the first to exit or withdraw from a maturing or aging market because it doesn't have the strength, to hold. But a dominant and a strong firm will be able to, defend its share even in the wake of maturity or aging. Yes. Of course, if you are strong, you can have a meteoric rise in a growing, kind of a growing industry. You can really gain what is called first mover advantage, and thereby build barriers so that the others cannot enter, and your position becomes unassailable. Every matrix is worth spending at least half an hour or worth a couple of hours to internalize the dynamics of competitive strategy. I hope I have given you enough both food to act, energize your endeavors in strategic management, and also food for thought and reflect on this beautiful world of strategy. I will be closing this session and taking your leave for now. I hope to see you all and be with me for the evening session, wherein I will be taking up the subsequent sessions. Uh, uh, and yes, we had planned that we will be covering up to chapter 2 in this session, which we have tried our best. In the evening, we will be taking up, of course, questions and discussion on chapter 3 and 4. Thank you so much for your being with me. I hope you have found this experience exhilarating as well as enriching. I would look forward to your feedback and suggestions, and of course your queries in my next session too. Thank you so much, and goodbye for now.